Good. All right, and when you're ready, trot it. Now let's use the whole ring now, straight ahead. Get a little behind him already, so you preempt his shying mode. That's right. Ride him to the outside rein. Drive him over there, because he's a little bit falling against you. Like circle his head. Use the pose. So I judge a bunch of horse trials, and I have a smattering of ability students, not a whole lot of them, but I don't see anything about the way this horse is built or moves that should keep you like above a 30. Yeah, well, but the good news, I mean, if you say, I don't feel tense, I feel fine, and my horse still gets 44, that's another issue. We can fix you. Ride a little more forward, converse with the right rein, but don't lock up in it. And the main issues are getting him a little lower rounder, the proverbial throughness, and maybe in the canter doing a little something with the way you sit on it. That's all right. Just stay on the circle with his head. And change through the circle with an S turn. Add the bend, the new bend. Right? That's it. A lot of left leg, drive him down. That's right. All right. Now this direction, maybe not right here where you're shying everything, but everywhere else, try not to overbend his neck to the left. Like now, don't overbend it left. When you're around on the side, you're the only way you get it past the seat. It doesn't matter. But a little in your position, but not so much that it locks him on the left side. Let's go down to B, straight down to B. At B, ride a 10-meter half circle out to X, and come back to F on a straight line. Half circle now, at X, straight line back to F over here. And now yield him a little bit into the left ear. And turn down the middle. And go straight. And like you move towards the left, like you move out. Gather a little more. Okay? At the end of the ring, down the middle and leg yield to the left again. And moving out. Because even though there is no leg yield in the test you have to ride, it gives you a way to turn before the other horse. That's right. Good. Now, let's go straight, and when you get to S, when you get a circle between S and R. Yep. Now, a little more forward, mostly to get him to come into the ring. In the show ring, he doesn't have to move forward. But it's like carrying the energy to the pit and directing more over the top line. Stay on that circle. Overbend him a little to the inside for a step, showing you can. Remember your outside leg sends him through his left ear, not just the inside leg. So you got a little low, we like that. And move that circle when you're ready, right in the camera. And, yep, good, that's fine. The cannon part itself would be enough. And you have to make sure that while you're cantering, try not to let it lift your seatbelts off the saddle every stride. Try to feel in your lower back there's a little more articulation and slightly to feel little bit back to front more than up and off and down and in. Or like that. So this right jaw. Yeah, that round. Spiral in, partway, not all the way. Bring it down, say a little smaller than 15. Yep, and spiral it out. Right jaw. And when you are ready, trot the circle and try to push that energy through the top line. Give it. Right? Now, apple, so not blocking apple, make it give. Now, let's stay in this area where we are and change direction to the middle of your circle. Right, now, this direction is spiral. Your outer leg can be a little farther back. Left straight line. Make the circle one smaller. That's right. Now, stay on that side circle and very mildly counter position, not twisting his head way around, but just making him feel the right leg less to the right, just a little, just enough that he's more aware of your outside leg and right brain, and not so much that he turns his head way out and falls in, but just so that he has to give on the right side a little. Now normal bend. All right, so Mindy, what I want you to do is keep cantering like that. We'll have Cecilia stand near A. As you come by, grab her and lift her up into the saddle behind you. And after 2 or 3 circles, you just slide off and let her keep going. Get back in there. All right, canter your left circle now. Yeah, good. And on that circle, trotting, and then come on down the long side towards us. And walk. Come on over here. Okay. Good. So let me tell you about my vending machine. And unless you've already heard about it. I know. Okay. It's sort of a goofy analogy, but I think it's what you need to tell him about. So in the hotel where I'm staying, down by the elevators, it's like the Coke machine and the vending machine. It's one of those ones with a glass front, and those spiral things, and a row of sweet things, and a roll of candy bars, and a roll of sun chips, all these different things. The point is, when you put the money in and it blinks ready, it's ready for everything. It's in a certain way, we could call it its universal preparation. So when you ride the horse, when he's on the age the way he's supposed to do, it's not like, oh, his trot's really nice, and I say canter, so I got to get him ready for canter. Because the canter has to be ready and alive in the trot, and if it's not, there's something the matter with the trot, not just that you have to do this left canter. The same thing applies to being able to yield him, to being able to make a transition where he comes through. This great long list of things are all the same. So, just like with the vending machine, he's never allowed to say, make another selection. And the way you keep that from happening is you keep inquiring of him constantly, generally in ways that are small enough that other people can't see. But if you ask in a small way, could I yield you? And he says, that chance. Then you go back and do something more obvious and basic, like a kidney, you can eat it, but we're going to eat it. Okay? You yield it, yes, now let's do subtle. So that your constant riding of him when you're schooling, and even in a test, is asking him all these questions. And I can ask, of course, lots and lots of questions in the test, but the judge never says, what the hell are you doing? Because I can ask them small enough that only the horse and I know we're having this back and forth. But the point is that, you know, like I fly places fairly often, and I read cheap novels, cheap courtroom novels. And the defense attorney is always saying, never ask a question in open court you don't know the answer. So when I'm riding him, I don't want to ever be surprised by his reaction. I mean, maybe if we're suddenly out of nowhere shy. But in general, as I'm riding, if I'm going to ask for a walk, I know it's going to happen because I've rehearsed it and prepared it and discussed it all along. It's not like I ask and he says, are you kidding me? I'm trotting. Leave me alone. Okay? The point of this is as you're riding him, I think you can start telling him more stuff. And I think you can employ a slightly larger range of options. And for instance, in his canter, it would be useful to get him to canter sometimes rounder and deeper, past where you would show the judge. Because you don't want to go into the show ring and do the maximum end line extreme of something you can do. You want to have all these options, and then you pick this one where he's in his comfort zone, and you still get a third. Okay? So being able to bend him more, being able to compress him more, being able to take him deeper, being able to increase him and decrease him within the same gait, being able to yield him around, even though those things aren't in the beginner, novice, and novice tests, they are things that you want to be discussing with him all the time to make him be complete enough, and that, like the vending machine producing the right answer. Okay? So when you say maybe you get a little tense or nervous or something, it's always better not to say, I won't be nervous, but to say, this is what I'm going to do. I have a plan. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep him busy. I'm going to make him think. We're going to have something going on back and forth between us. And in the process, you're too busy to be nervous. Okay? Yep. So let's go on the circle to the right, and this end using the cones. Do you ever have earthquakes out here? No. Actually, there are sometimes. Sometimes.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. Sometimes. Yeah, I feel it, don't you? I feel it.
Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh no.
Yeah. All right, so gather your horse a little bit and walk the circle and walk it kind of sideways. Not super sideways, but like, get the front end around. That's it. So, good. Bring the front end to the inside, leave your right leg near the girth, push the whole horse around. I'm not a big fan of bringing my inside leg back into the horse. Because I'm not just interested in pushing the back end sideways. I'm interested in pushing the horse to the outside rein, pushing the inside hind up under the horse, and then that does mean more good. Now, don't tell anybody I said this. This is the part of the tape we'll destroy. But make his neck a little too low and a little too round, and ride like you mean it with your leg, and make him give in. And if we did that and then we couldn't get his head back up, that would be bad news. But we want to be able to give ourselves choices. And let's see what you're doing in rise and trot. You can down and around and into the reins. So I want him a little more together than otherwise he might be. And I want him to be very concerned, or better, we'll say very interested in your leg, as opposed to concerned, except by right and move. And we're still doing it on an angle, front end in. Okay? At the next double cones out by the center line, walk for a few steps and then trot again. All right, so, kind of. It was like the vending machine was unclear. So, two things. One is, as you're trotting around, be testing the ability to walk. And number two is when you do make the transition, try not to let your lower leg slip out in front of you. Okay? So trot again. All right, now make him rounder. And this is where you're just allowed to do it. It appears you know how, and it appears you might be too nice a person. But just make it happen. That's it. Deeper. Don't forget your outside leg. Put him down and gather him. Put him. Say to him, you're going to be there. Period. And make him care more about your left leg. I would be thumping on him a little with the left leg and telling him not to run away, just to give in the rest of the way. Yeah. Now, just since I haven't seen it, let me watch you in the sitting trot for a minute so I know what we've got going for us. All right, that seems functional, so that's good. We'll use that to our advantage. Lean back a little. Yeah. Good. Now, be more aggressive with your right leg so that he gives in his right jaw. So at this point, we don't want to use more leg to make him go faster. We want to use the leg to keep him down and round and giving in. And it's all right for him to be in your reins that much. Go back to posting and push him together. Pretend you're on cross country, like you have a dagger in your teeth or something.
Cross country's the easy part.
Wake him up now and make him strong and hold him too much in the reins. Make your elbows weigh an extra 2 pounds. Don't tell anybody I said that. Push him together. Mash him a little bit. Use the whip a little more. Yes, that's right. Yeah, and now, I don't want you to walk, but as you pass every cone, I want you to tell him you could walk. Okay? All right, and at the next one, tell him you could. But at the same time, he has to stay on the bit. So you want to keep him down and round and momentarily brace your back and soften his jaw and say, give in and come through. At the next cones, do walk. Sit, stretch tall. All right, fairly good, trot on. Remember, when you make a transition, don't only stop doing what you were last doing, but tell him what you want him to do next. So channel his energy through his top line into his outside ear and make him put his inside hind leg in his outside ear. At the next single cone, walk. Prepare, test, inside leg, push him through, make him give his jaw, make him walk now, trot on, make him stay rounded. So is this the first time your horse has ever behaved like this?
Just a little.
No. Well, it may be that, I mean, this is like not, it doesn't look like this all the time here, I suspect. Maybe she has like a tortilla chip allergy or something.
That might be it.
All right, rounder, deeper, drive it down, and test, can you walk? Test, and do walk. Stretch tall, legs on, rounder. In the downward transition, don't just stop trotting, okay? Trot again. We can talk about all sorts of classical, theoretical reasons, but as a practical event rider, you're throwing away points, okay? And you don't need to do that, right? Now, push him down lower and stronger, and keep him really round, and ride a big power trot now. Push him through. Yeah, and supple him around to the inside a little bit. This is quite good. Very nice. Good. And as long as you keep him a little bit soft and alive, you can get away with it. And then when you make the downward transition, remember your inside leg delivers the energy through, remains keep him pliable and round and soft, and what you do with your body language is what makes him change gait. So when you sit and your body stops trotting and starts walking, and you widen your ribs and lift your spine and pop the emerald out of your belly button, that's what makes the transition happen. So sit and push him through into walk, unlock his right jaw, elbows bent. Yeah, and walk. Yeah, and long range. That was a real one. Okay? Rest a minute. I don't subscribe to the idea that you make a horse light by only ever being light. And there are some in the French school say that, and then we are inclined to say, yeah, but you're making them just pose and pretend to be on the aids. But the way we ride, we talk about connection and throughness, and the lightness comes from having a connection that lets you engage them and collect them and shift their weight back, and they carry themselves. And you go through stages to do that. And with him, it's a little bit like putting your arm around him and saying, my son, come with me, we have to discuss this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what you were doing there was good. That you'll see on the video. That was fine, other than the earthquake. But that was fine. So take him back together. And okay. Down and around. Don't lean forward. Stay up. Make him give. That's fine. And now we're going to test. Will he halt and be on the edge? Halt. More or less, more yes than no, but not all, because he kind of threw his hip and he kind of did his left jaw. What fun. But that's why it's all about, are you asking good questions? And are you always thinking, I'm trying to enlarge the possibilities of correct response rather than limit them? I come back into this. Make him give, have him a little bit, come in, rise to the front of the circle. So are you doing novice or beginner novice?
Beginner novice with orienting, more novice level with show jumping.
Uh-huh. Don't let him get too long yet. Make him give in. That's right. We always want to be able to lengthen them if we like, but you know how in rooming houses or in big families, the kids learn to sit down at the table and kind of spread their elbows out and take up more room than is really allotted to them? And your horse kind of does that. That's the way. Now, again, we're testing the possibility of a transition. And that means when you push, he gives, he stays soft in his jaw, he doesn't do a trick and react by falling behind your leg, he doesn't hollow. And at the double cones out by the middle, you're going to walk. So you're going to push his left hind through, you're going to supple his jaw, you're going to think, push him into the next gate. That's tall. That was good. Now you were a little ahead of him, but he didn't get away from you. It's not a monkey. That was a good up transition because all the energy flowed right down the pipes where it's supposed to go. All right, now use the entire arena. And don't let him get longer. Keep him giving. Push him through the left leg. Send him on. Bigger trot. That's right. That much ground covering. We can bring him up. Keep that. Now, if we were doing it in a test, you'd have to keep his neck straighter out of his shoulder and still position his pole if you wanted. But you wouldn't keep his neck bent that much in front of the judge, unless it was a really old judge. Is Mrs. Credo still alive, or is she gone?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think she is. I think she's still alive.
Yeah. I once suggested at a judges forum that there would be a rule that the TD would carry a mirror and make all the S judges read on the mirror each day before they were allowed to judge. That was not received all that well. A little more energy, and then on the diagonal, long diagonal, change rein, push him through the corner. I really like corners. A lot of people sort of just ride them like they don't matter. Good. No higher. That round. Down and round into the left ear. That's the way. My sister is named Connie. That's why I was asking you. Except she's actually a Constance. livelier. Now he's sort of coasting. Circle large here. There are two phrases that I sometimes use on tests that are not complementary. And yet, it doesn't result in a terrible score. One is the horse is cruising, and one is the horse is coasting. Cruising is when they're kind of politely leaning and running through you, and coasting is when they're doing what he did, starting at P. Okay? And so it doesn't have to look very different. It's what's in his head, what he's thinking. Okay? And that's why you keep asking him the questions. Now, use the entire arena, make a 3-loop serpentine width of the ring. Fill the reins with energy. Keep him giving and keep him round. And if you ask him and you get the wrong answer, ask him again. Down and round. Drive in there. That's it. And long side straight. He's a little lazy. Not much. Active, but still round. That's nice. This is a nice try. That has to be that's an eventing, easy beginner novice step on the circle at the center line, driving through into wall. Make him give. The leg on, and a free walk. Fill up the space with your pushing leg. And the horse chews the reins out of your fingers and comes deeper. And when you give, it's not their excuse to pop up and get away, but to follow your hand. And as I was saying to people earlier today, when this works, the next project is usually making it work through the transitions all the time. So ride to walk, keep him round, over the top line, push through. All right, it was a little getting behind you, but just go again.
Look, walk over there.
A little rounder before the next one, a little more solid connection, and then ride the inside hind through to the pole. Better. Now, there, the back end worked and you lost a little at the front, but that's okay. So, again. This is where sometimes you can afford to briefly override a little more and get that last 10% of commitment that's not there, and then be soft and nice. So it's like, I would say the horse is in the vicinity of the bit, and then sometimes not thoroughly convinced. You know, it's like all the energy isn't flowing through. It's not going any bad place, but sometimes it just says, well, I'll wait and see what happens next. And walk in a long range for a circle or two. And let's make the medium walk again. And on the circle where your outside aids define the circle rather than the wall, march on into the connection, and let's see if we can have your horse thinking enough about staying connected that when you try to make a turn on the haunches, the horse stays round and the front end moves and the back end doesn't evade. Okay? So a little rounder, a little more together, and then it doesn't have to be right on the spot by any means. It wants to look like a lateral movement, not just like a half circle. So there has to be some crossing over in front. All right, and so when you're ready, just reverse the turning on the haunches. All right, so stand still a second. What did you just witness?
Kind of a little half circle.
Yeah, and also, to me, more of a turn on the forehand, where you were using a lot of inside leg, and the back end was going out that way.
Okay.
And that's all right. That's just a different exercise. I want the back end not to go out. I want the front end to come to the inside. So the pivoting leg, although it goes up and down, it doesn't do that. But the pivoting leg is the inside hind one,
Okay.
as opposed to the inside front one. Okay, so walk on this direction, tracking left. And let's make a turn on the haunches or around the haunches to the left, to the inside. Don't. The back end can't go out. The front end has to go in. Walk on. This is worth spending a little time on.
Can you tell we don't do this very much?
I'm suspicious, yes. Having said that, I have this brand new, like less than a month old video that I put up on my website that's on YouTube, specifically about turns on the haunches and turns on the forehand. And you would be the sort of person I made it for.
Which I obviously will be watching tonight.
Okay. It's called As the Horse Turns. And in honor of the soap opera my mother used to watch for years. Good. So now, stand still a second. One of the things you see on the video is the first thing you have to visualize is which end goes around one end. And in turn on the haunches, my image would be the horse is the hand of the clock. Its butt is at the center of the clock face. The numbers are out around here. And so to turn on the haunches to the left, the front end goes from 12 to 11 to 10 to 9. But the most important thing is the back end doesn't go out that way. So your right leg is the dominant leg. Your left leg is the modified, receiving, stay forward, stay back. But the main leg is the outside leg. The main rein is the outside rein. Because when you push, right after you push, you sort of push to squeeze, push to squeeze. Then the horse doesn't just go out there, but it comes around. And the left rein just invites the horse to look a little tiny bit to the left. It doesn't pull things around. Just as this is all, just a little bit like this. Okay, and it doesn't have to be literally on the spot. So the back end is allowed to make, if my legs are the horse's back legs, it's allowed to go like this while the front end is out here going like this. Okay? So, just for a moment, just for now, do it from the pull. So the front end comes and faces me, the back end doesn't go out there. Just bring the front end around this way. Yep, keep coming. Yep, okay.
Which one?
Yeah, right.
Thoroughbred?
Yeah.
Now, in fact, it's easier usually in the walk than the pull. But sometimes just to sort of get the visualization.
I love thoroughbreds.
I would,
What is yours?
and I would claim
You've got a lot of
that any horse that's been working in this,
He was really something
that's even a 4-year-old, ought to be able to do a rudimentary turn on the forehand or a turn on the haunches at your will, that you can always put either end where you want. But it's not just kind of spin around, but can I take this end this way, or can I take that end that way? And it's like if they won't do that, harder things are less likely to happen. So let's walk on around the 20-meter circle to the left. And just make a little feeling that the horse cares. Right. And so now you're going to shorten the strides and turn the front end to the left around the back end to reverse direction. Your left leg come a little towards me. The main leg is your right leg, and the main rein is your right rein. And now slow down and turn the front end. Keep coming. Whoops. Front, that way. And track right. So the whoops was when the horse pushed against your outside leg. And that's the main thing we want them to know right now that they don't do. Switch the whip over. And make the roundness, yeah. And so now, slow down and turn the front end around the back end coming towards me. Your right leg will do relatively little. Get the front end going. Yep. Oh, use the whip with the shoulder. Keep going. Yep. Walk out of it. Back left. Once they get the basic idea, this part goes there, that part doesn't go the other place, then you begin to think of suppleness and refinement. But it really is one of those things that they've got to let you do. So trot the circle now. We'll come back to that. Soften the left side, get tall, gather, and turn on the haunches to reverse. Bring the front end around, don't let the back end go out. Good, yes. Sit to the left, sit over to that's it. And trot on to the right. So that was the closest to one so far. And now make the trot fairly big. Okay, it's all right. We might talk about whip switching at some point, but rising trot. So Ellen, how many hours did it take you to get up here?
5.5.
Not as bad as the Helen.
Heavens no. Much easier.
All right, now into walk. Supple the right side. Stretch up, stomach forward, legs back under you. Walk now. And walk shoulder in around the circle. Yep. Yes, that's good. Good move. Right now, normal position, everything normal. Get ready to make turn on the haunches to the right. Sit in the direction of the turn. Whoops, escape. Yep, good move, good. Turn the front end, open the right rein. You just have to say, well, come this way, this part over here. Walk on. When you want to use your, that's the way I like to switch to it. When you want your horse to go forward, try not to lean forward. And trot again when you're ready. Now let's use the whole ring once in this outline. And from the end of the ring, turn straight down the center line. Good, and when you come to A, let's track to the right. And do a 20-meter circle to the right. And on the circle with a little more bend. So a lot of these lateral movements that most superficially are obedience exercises, like can I get the mail out of the mailbox, can I open the gate without getting off, that stuff. That's the very, very beginning. That's the, in a way, that's the least important part unless you're on the wrong side of the fence. But we want to think of them specifically as suppleness-related gymnastic things where you can ply your aids in a sequence in an order, and the horse's response is to melt under you and soften and give in and allow you to use your aids in an explaining way. And riding, walk, and then in a nice orderly, you supple the jaw a little bit. We want to be sure when you stop trotting, you don't lock yourself briefly, but every step keep riding all the parts. Trot again, we'll do that one more time. Right? So now in the downward transition, your reins still operate independently. Your leg operates push and then catch. Soften the right side, sit, and deliver the horse through to the walk. And walk, stomach forward, stretch tall. That's a better one. Move on rein for a second. Because anytime both hands take back in unison, most horses figure out that that's some version of, oh, you're pulling? Watch me, I can pull more. So there's an interaction between the reins. It's sort of supple, and then this side. And it's pushed to a momentary resistance, but it's rarely taking back with both exactly in unison, the inside and the outside one, because that just invites them to grab you. Sometimes we talk about kind of anchoring one in space and then playing off its contact. So you don't have to give one and use the other. But it's like as you use this one, you feel the reaction through the horse's mouth over to that one. As you do that, there are all these little things you don't want them to do. Like, well, you don't want the horse to think it means speed up because you're gathering the reins. You want to just say, everything's the same, and by the way, you come a little together and you give in. It's no more complicated. So turn down the quarter line now. Turn right, down the quarter line. Leg heel out to the left, out to the wall. Good. Right. Down and around like that. And walk all the way down the track to letter S. And at S, make a half circle under the center line so you're coming back towards me. And then leg yield all the way out to the corner where the camera is. From the center line, leg yield to the left. And that's about the right angle. So you don't want to go too sideways because that's a different escape. But try to leg yield to F. F. And I like to always have them interested enough that it's not like one kick produces one step, but there has to be this store of energy in there that I can tap rather than trying to create energy every single step. Let's trot the 20-meter circle. Right, good. Softening the pole around the inside. Down the quarter line this time, and in that outline, leg yielding outward to the left. Okay. And increasingly, we want to be able to make slightly larger half holds to go a little more sideways than that, and that when you use your leg to go over, the horse doesn't also go faster. Big circle in that end one time, and then down the quarter line after the circle and leg yield out to the left. So your posting motion and your outside rein are regulating the speed. That when you use the leg, you don't get a faster trot. And outward. Yep, good. Over you go. Get there. Leg yield out. Get there. All right. And now turn down the center line and then just stop on the center line. Okay, and stop. Stay on the eights like that. Now, there are relatively standard exercises that we use, and then sometimes for other things you want to be able to do just because you should be able to, and when you can, then you don't. So now I want the horse to go directly sideways, like that way, over there. Not forward at all, just sideways. Use the whip where you need it. It'll be on the shoulder too. Open the left rein a little bit. And just say, we're moving over. Move over. That's right, move over. Good, and stop and pattern. Fine. Because they should be able to. 3 more steps over that way. He's not supposed to be shocked or, yeah, good. Yeah, good, stop. It has to be to the point where it's instantaneous, it's assumed, it's not like you have to persuade, it's like, oh, it's like, have the horse on the cross ties and you're hosing it off, and you give a little nudge and just move over. Like point your finger and move over. 2 more steps that way. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, nice. Stop. And as I said, if that's available, then you generally do it in form of this and mixing other things. But if they won't do this, the likelihood of doing the other is small. Sure. Okay. So walk around the circle, 20 meters, slide it over your other hand the right way. Almost the right way. You're right about how it has to go over the top, but I thought you did it right the last time. And that time, huh?
Let's go in the other direction.
All right, stand still. Show me switching the whip. No.
Okay.
All right, what you're doing wrong is the hand that's holding the whip from which you're going to extricate it will take both reins, but then it doesn't do this because it's riding the horse. So just leave, you leave the hand that had the whip that's going to ride the horse with the reins can't be doing this or it's doing this thing in the horse's mouth. So that's right. And then the only thing I would do differently there.
I don't know who's braver.
It's really bad idea. All right. If in the world where everybody had triple joints, you'd somehow put the reins here, and then this hand would go over here. I can't do this. Maybe I could when I was younger. But the point is, you remove it like this rather than grasp it this way.
Right.
Then you get over here, and what do I do? So the compromise is you kind of reach over, so then you're not juggling. So have it in the outside hand. Yay, yay. That's good. The only thing there is it should go past your eyes instead of across his ears, because then he won't hear it swoosh by and shriek to it. Okay, now walk on. Let's trot this circle for a minute.
Do they pay you to do this? Oh, good. Probably not enough.
All right, now, in the walk transition, think a little baby shoulder in, think of pushing the right hind through, think of softening the right jaw. When you sit down, think your ribs get wide, your chest comes up, and you push your stomach forward a little bit, and your right leg pushes him into the walk. And walk. And that's a good one. And then at the very last instant, maybe a little more closing of the leg to confirm which direction you want his head to be. But yes. Okay, and trot on again. Fine. And let's do the same thing again. Supple in through, into walk, push the right hind under, grow tall, and send him into the bit. Yeah, alive. Fine, just like that. Now, put them a little more together, and in the walk, make a turn on the haunches. He bends to the right. Your outside aids are the important aids. Your weight goes to the right. The outside hind doesn't step out. The front end moves sideways. Yay. Keep going. Yay. All right.
Almost.
Yeah. Now that worked, except he didn't accept the bit enough. But at least all the parts went to the right place. And now you can do 2 things at once, which is what you just did, and play with the interaction that rides him forward enough and keeps him giving and doesn't just turn him around. But you're right then, you were way ahead of where you were before.
Oh yeah, and instead of trying to make those transitions when we're not straight and having that soft jaw and a little bit of
Yeah.
bend, which is counterintuitive.
Why would that be?
Well, I guess because I'm thinking in terms of moving on a straight line, but we're not on a straight line. on
But
a
here's the
circle.
thing: even if Mindy comes down the center line to do her pre St. George, she's not using symmetrical aids.
Okay.
She's using asymmetrical aids because the horse always has a slight inside and a slight outside, even when it looks straight.
Even on a straight line.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's slight enough that maybe nobody knows it, but you and the horse. And you've probably heard of shoulder 4. Okay. Well, shoulder 4 is this wonderful preliminary exercise, and at times someone or other has said, well then why, if it's such a good exercise, why isn't it in the test? And the answer is it's so hard to see, it's almost impossible to judge. Especially if the horse isn't like 2 feet right in front of you. But it's one of those subtleties that has great relevance, but mostly just between you and the horse. Okay? And the way it was best described to me, just stop for 1 second. The something like shoulder in or leg yielding on the circle or whatever is basically being a suppling exercise. And what it's doing is it's making the horse susceptible to the transition without resisting. Because as you take the horse around your inside leg, as you push it through, you're moving its center of gravity this way when you want. And if you can move it that way, it's much easier to move it back this way. Then you can't do this, and then you try to move it here, and then it braces and stiffens. So it's a lot of places where I go to teach, it's sort of one of those Florida things that people have an electric gate with a little code, and you, if you know the code and push the buttons, this little metallic voice says, "Access granted." And that's what the horse has to keep saying. If the horse says, "Access denied," no way. So walk on. And when you're ready, let's trot on. That's fine. And so think of the transition to walk the same way. Once again, the inside hind, suppling left jaw, and deliver the horse to the next gate, marching into the wall. Stretch up. That's right. Now, be having in mind that your leg is pushing the inside hind through, your hands are keeping the horse soft and pliable, and what makes the transition happen is this. Grow up, get wide in your lower ribs, push your stomach forward, close your thigh a little bit, and essentially, if the horse is paying attention, it notices that your body has stopped trotting and has started walking, and the horse comes along with you in real time. None of that works if the horse isn't paying attention and isn't on the edge. You can do that all day. They're just running across the field with you. But when they're tuned in to you, then your body language, which is, to me, it's a more accurate way to think of what happens to say it's your weight aids. Because somehow weight aids sound static to me. And really, anytime you use your weight aids, you move them, you use them in a direction. Yeah, in other words, look at me. If I use my inside seat, I don't go and just push. But it's like I push it somewhere. I push it diagonally, I push it forward. It's the body language that the horse conforms to yours to match what you want to do. Okay? So walk on, push him through the top line, and let's trot again. That's right. And a little more authoritative from your leg. Just come on, get in front of me and work. Yep, exactly. Because you want to be able to send them on or say that was enough, thank you, come back to me. And either way, the horse is there between your leg and hand. All right, so now let's go ahead and canter the circle. Good. Fine. All right, and when you're ready, trot. Supple the inside. Move to trot. Okay, keep that. All right, and when you're ready, think of the shoulder in into walk again. Supple the left side. A little bit of bend. Okay. Now, when you're in the canter, you can lean back farther and you won't be leaning back.
Okay.
Okay. In other words, you open your hip angle more. It will feel like your shoulders are behind your hips, and in actual fact, it won't even look like that. And in the process of doing that, your lower back will be more useful to you. You'll stay more down in the saddle. Probably not this minute, but in a slightly different world, I'd have your stirrups longer.
Longer?
Yeah. They seem long to you now?
No, but when I go longer, I have a tendency to lose them.
Yeah. And so, you know what my answer to that is?
Ride longer more?
Yeah, my answer is so what? If you actually you don't lose them because they're right there attached to the leathers flopping around. They're just momentarily misplaced. And the thing about having them short is you brace on them, and then your thigh gets a little short and pinchy. And as long as you're not worried for your safety, if you lose them, just get them back. And if it takes, just keep riding and get them back. Because in the long run, not caring if you lose them is how you don't lose them. If you care that you're going to lose them, you stiffen to hold yourself there, and you have them, but you don't have a functional leg. If you no longer care, then your leg stretches down into the iron and finds its place. That's the real counterintuitive.
Yeah.
It's like when you don't try, it works better. So we won't do that now, but just stop a moment and take your foot out of the stirrup. Yeah, I mean your leg could look literally there, and then we put the stirrup up under it to match it.
Okay.
Okay, and see when you come up here, see how much it changes
Quite a bit.
this angle. It gets you kind of way up here, and then no matter what you do with your lower leg, it's still short. So yeah, it doesn't have to be today, but it would be a good thing.
Okay.
Okay. All right, walk on. So even with your jumper leg here, easy. When we go to canter, and right now lean back ridiculous. Yes, now you're at that would be about straight. And if you lean back farther, like when you were little, did you have a ponytail?
No.
No. Well, imagine you sat back so much you could put your ponytail touching the horse's butt, and you won't be there. But it'll help you get more of this motion into your hips rather than the kind of hovering above hips that right now doesn't let you change his canter very much. So come on, let's organize this one back into trot. Try to shake in that much. And when they're reasonably settled, I want them hot to the left. You know, if for little old ladies and small children, not necessarily, but for you could have them care enough about your leg that then a little leg impresses him more. And the extreme two cases would be what you saw Minnie do with the last horse and what I did with the horse before that. And that's when I put my legs on in a way that the horse briefly crossed its eyes. Okay? So let's be ready for the canter again. I knew there was. I taught a mother and a daughter, and they were going off to look at horses with somebody else I knew. And the mother was driving, the daughter was in the back seat, the friend was in the front seat, the daughter and the friend are texting back and forth about the mother. Uh-huh.
I guess there's no whispering anymore, is there?
No need. Livelier. Thump, thump, thump. Thump, thump, thump. That's it. And let's do the canter. Now, what I want you to try to do is let go enough in front that the neck can come down, and then go back and do the same thing we were doing in the trot to get the horse round and deep, and just make sure your half bolts are big enough that it doesn't seem like he wants to lean on you the whole time around. So make him give in and be able to shift his weight back. That's good. With your stirrups 2 or 3 holes longer, it would be great. And when you're ready, trot. And then let's just change direction. Who's next? No, I think. All right, so let's do the canter this direction. Okay. Come to trot and we will proceed. Soften the jaw, you're good. Now, if this is working as well as it is, just stop when you get here, okay? If it's working as well as it is, then we have to increase the challenge. Let's come on, stand over here. And circles always have a good news and a bad news component. And the good news component is there's a certain consistency. And so they can find your hand and they can find the rhythm, and if they're tense. The problem with circles, particularly at the canter, is you get this centrifugal force thing going. And there's sort of a momentum, and they get leaning out, and then you get a hold of each other, and they kind of cruise around. So then if you start riding some squares or some diamonds, where you have to make a little turn and go straight, and a little turn and go straight, each time you make the turn, right before it, you have to rebalance, and that makes you make more of a half vault than if you're just going along trying not to upset things.
Okay.
And finally, in the best world, we could almost claim that a circle is really a multifaceted figure where each side of the figure is one stride long. So you go stride, turn, stride, turn, stride, turn, a balanced turn, a balanced turn, a balanced turn. And with the horse also being a little bent during it, it doesn't look like it looks smooth, but it's still the chance to say, come up and around and hold yourself, come hold yourself. And then when they do that, somebody asked me yesterday, well, do you have to make a half hold every stride? Well, no, you only have to make one when you need to make one. But once the horse buys that and it's up here and holding itself, all you have to do is turn your body and it happens. Okay? But where you are with it right now is fine, but it's like, okay, you have roundness, you have rhythm, and now you have to say, and I can shift your weight. And that's kind of the same reason we went back and did the turns on the haunches too. Because that's, I can turn you,
I can turn you, I can turn you. If instead of making an actual complete turn on the haunches the way we did, I said to you, now I want you to walk an octagon. And at each of the little places, make a partial turn on the haunches and go, and a partial turn on the haunches. That would be like what I'm talking about, except we do it in the canter too. Okay?
Yeah,
So, enough.
great things.